Welcome to day 5 of 100 days of automation. Today we are going to generate an image of a tweet using Google Forms. So I'll go to my Google form and here I need to give a tweet URL. So I'll take this tweet from Paul and I'll paste it in my tweet URL. I'll need a width, so I'll give a width of 1080. I'll give a height of 1080 as well. And in email I'll give support@craftar.io. Now I'll click on submit. Awesome. So our form has been submitted. Now I'll go to my email and we can see we received an email, and in the email we have sharing the Twitter image you requested and our image is attached, and we can see that the Twitter image has been generated. Let's look at how to make this from scratch. So first I'll go to Craftar and I'll create a new API. We'll call this generate image from form and I'll click on create. So the first thing I need is to think about my inputs. So the first input I need is going to be the tweet URL. So it'll be of type text. The second thing I need is emails. So we'll take in a CSV comma separated values. So you could give more than one in that way. So godlabs.com support@craftar.io. So we can give multiple emails like this. For tweet URL, I will set the value of a testimonial we received and I'll try to generate an image of it. So the next thing we need is to actually create our image generation logic. So we'll use something called as Switchboard.ai. So it's an image generation service which exposes an API that we can use. So we'll use the block switchboard generate image from template. It might seem daunting, but it's actually very simple. So before we go ahead and understand what these means, we'll go to Switchboard. So you can create an account on Switchboard, and once you do that, you'll see this template screen. And in the template screen, we'll click on the first template. I have modified it in certain ways, but it's very easy to do. So you can click on any element here, name, mention, profile, text, date, and you can define some values on the right side. So you can define its size, you can scale it here, you can also change the color of the text, you can change the padding, height, and so on. So I've defined some values. For Twitter specifically, the switchboard requires certain values for each element. So if we click on these parameters, on the top we see API name. So here we have to give a value. But for Twitter specifically, they require these names: author_name, author_URL for the profile pic, for author_username for the username below the name, text for the actual tweet content, created at for the actual date, and then I've created a background with a gradient. So the way that works is you can come here and choose an image from Unsplash. I searched for gradient and I got some nice values, so I picked one, and then I created like an image from here. So you can click here to create an image, and then you can choose an image background, and to create a white image you can just set the foreground opacity from here and you can change the color. So if I change the foreground opacity, change it to white, so now I have like a white image. So yeah, so you can do all of those things. My template is set, and then there's a value for the whole template, which if you click anywhere on the white background, you'll see the API name as tweet. So this is what the name of the template is. So I click on save here, and then what I can do is if I go back to home, I can view your API key. So when you click here, you'll get the API key. So I'll come in here and set my template name to tweet. Next thing I need is the API key. So I'll get that now. I'll copy this and I'll paste it in my switchboard API key. So the only thing remaining is sizes. So to get the sizes, we have to understand what the sizes look like. So if I open the documentation, you can see sizes looks like this. So it's an list of JSON values of width and height. So let's create this in Craftar. So I'll create a new input. I'll call it sizes. Data type would be list, and then I'll click on edit, and on the right side I'll create my data. So it is of type JSON, and then I'll open this 0th element, and here we'll provide the width and height. So my width would be number, and we'll just give 1080 for now, and my height would also be a number, and we'll also set it to 1080. So the idea is you can give any number of sizes, and you can also give some values, and it will automatically generate those sizes from the same template. Okay, cool. So now we can start connecting. So we can connect the sizes to sizes here, and we can connect the tweet URL to tweet URL. Awesome. So now we need to actually connect this, and we can just start to play. So I'll just click on play now. It will take some time to generate the image. Okay, so now we have our output. I can click here, we got generated sizes, and you can see we got a URL. So if I open this URL in a new tab, we can see that the first tweet of this Twitter thread was converted into an image, and it automatically picked up the user's profile pic, user's name, and so on. So this is awesome. We already have our image ready. So next step is to actually or send this image as an email. So what we'll do now is search for Mailgun. That's what we'll use to send out our email, and I'll set up my credentials now. So yeah, and you can create your account and get these credentials from Mailgun, and I'll set up the subject, I'll set up my HTML and text. Both will be the same. Now we need to fill two things. One is to, which is a list of emails, and attachments, which is a list of image URLs. So we have the image URL here, but it's inside a complicated data structure. So you have 0 and then you have URL. So what we need is we need to extract this value. So we have a nice block for it, which makes this very simple. So I'll search for extract all values by key name. So this block basically takes in a list, which is this generated sizes, and it takes in a property name. So what we need is URL. So we connect orange to orange, give the property name as URL, and we'll get a list of URLs. So in case we are generating more than one image, this would return multiple URLs, and we can just connect it to attachments. Awesome. So this is working. What we need next is to generate a list of emails. So you can see our email here is of type text, and it has a comma separated value of emails. So what we can do is we'll create another block. We'll cut this. We'll search for split a text by a separator. So this block takes in a text or a CSV or a comma separated values, which we pass into expressions, and then it takes a separator. So when I give this separator, and if I play this now, we can see the splitted list here as an list now. So the 0th element is the first email and first element is the second email. Awesome. So we have our to list. So we'll connect this to 2. So what we can do is we'll just bring it here and connect, and then we can take it back. So this is nice. So now I can connect split a text by separator to switchboard. So first we get our input, then we create a list of our emails, then we call the API to generate the image. We get our image, and then the next step is to extract the values of all the URLs. So I'll connect this to my email now, and then I'll connect this to my outputs. Awesome. So one thing also we can do, we'll create a success boolean. We'll call it yes or no type, and by default we'll set it to true. So whenever it's successful, our output will give success true. Great. So now our API is built. We can click on save and we can test this. So if I play this now, I should receive the image that we generated in my email. So we go to Mailgun. It has sent the emails. So it's saying queued. So we'll have to wait a bit for the email to arrive. So yeah, so you can see we got our new email sharing the images you requested, and we have the attachment. Okay, awesome. So now our API is working, and we can save and publish this. Okay. So now the next step of the automation, if I come to my steps, so we on form submitter API is called. Craftar uses Switchboard API to generate the image tweet. We did both of these, and generated image is sent as attachment. So we've done this step also. The step which we need to do is first, which is user fills out a Google form and then it calls the API. So let's see how to do that next. So I'll go to a new tab. I'll click on form.new. This will create a new Google form. We'll call it generate Twitter image. Okay. So next we'll define some inputs. So the first input we need is a tweet URL. So that's good. The type would be short answer, and then I'll create a new one. This one would be width, and the type would be short answer again. We'll create another. We'll call it height, and this will also be short answer. And finally we'll call last one, which is emails. It will again be short answers. So now that we have all our form set up, there's one thing that we need to do, which is configure an add-on. So there is no way to directly send a webhook from Google Form right now. So what we can do is we can configure an add-on. So there's this add-on called as email notifications. So if you click on install, it will ask for permissions, and then you'll have a add-on which can let you do webhooks when a form is submitted. So once you do that, we'll go to add-ons on the top right and click on email notifications on Google Forms. So when you do that, you can click on enable notifications. So that enables this add-on. It will take some time to load. Okay, so now that it's loaded, if you click on this again and click on email notifications, now you get a broader menu and we get webhooks for Google Forms. So we click on this. And now that it's open, we can click on create webhook, and we'll give our webhook name as Craftar. Method would be post. And now we need this request URL. So we'll go back to Craftar. We publish this API and we'll copy the URL in the request params. So you don't have to worry too much about the terms. You can just like follow along and it'll work. So I've pasted my request URL here. Next thing I need is an authorization. So the authorization Craftar uses is bearer token. So I can come in here, copy my API key and paste it here. So authorization is done now. We don't have to care anything about headers. Now we come to request body. So if I choose, let's say, form encoded for now, we can see how the webhook add-on is accessing the form values. So it's using double curly brace and the name of the form question to actually get the value of it. So we need to choose applications as JSON, and then we need to choose use raw input. So this will be very easy to do as compared to the other option. So we'll do that. Now if we go back to Craftar, you can see we have copy next to body. So I'll copy it and then I'll open JSON online editor. You can open this as well and you can paste this here. So this will let us format it so we can easily play with it. And now I'll copy this and paste it in my request body. Great. So now we have all the data that we need to send. But this is hard coded with the demo that we built. So we'll remove this and we'll replace it with curly braces. So what do the curly braces need? So we need to give the question name. So we can move this aside. Okay, we can't move it. So yeah, we can. Okay, awesome. So now the first name of tweet URL is tweet URL. So this one. For width, we'll have to create a string, otherwise JSON will not work. So we'll call it width. We'll do the same for height, create quotes and then double curly braces and call it height. And if you're not able to see, I'll zoom in a little bit. So we can see height. So the next thing we need to do is emails. So I'll replace this with emails. Great, awesome. So now that this works, all of our configuration is done. I can just click on save. So my webhook is saved now, you can see it here, and we can also come in and test. Although once you test, it will take up your credit on Switchboard and also send an email. So, but it's always good to test it once because you're going to automate this. So I'll just click on test now and we'll see it fail and I'll explain why. So it's saying enter a, so you might have some rogue character. So you can just copy this back in JSON editor, and then we'll copy it back again and click on test now. So you see it failed. So the reason it failed is because it doesn't have any test data to give. So you can just click on save and we'll close this. In our settings, we will configure our responses to allow editing. So if we make a mistake, we can edit. And then we'll click on send. We'll go to link. We'll shorten the URL. We'll copy this and open it in a new tab. So here we'll give a tweet URL. So I'll copy this. I'll go to my form. I'll paste my URL here. My width would be 1080. Height would be 1080 again. And email, I'll just give support@craftar.io. Now if I click on submit, okay, so it said the response is sent and it'll take some time for the API to run. Right, so we got our image, so it's working. So now we can see our image, we got the email, our whole automation is working. So we built an automation which lets you generate an image of a tweet by filling out a Google form. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.